Hey everybody, it's Kim at Read It Again Bookstore in Suwanee, Georgia, and today I'm with actually one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite local authors, Jenn Lyons. Hey Jenn.
Hello, it is so good to be here.
So why are we here? Oh no, first, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Okay. So I'm Jenn Lyons, and let's see. At this point, I am now the author of four books in the fantasy Chorus of Dragons series. And previous to that, I've been a couple of things. I was a art director and illustrator for 20 years. And then I went into video games and I became a video game producer. Worked at various different video game studios, and then even worked at a company doing casino video games. So that was really interesting. And then slid right on over to being a writer full time. So
okay, so let's see. This is your fourth book. Let's go. What's book number one?
Book number one is The Ruin of Kings.
Okay, two.
Book number two is The Name of All Things.
Uh-huh.
Book three is The Memory of Souls. And now we have The House of Always. And I actually can talk about this because, you pretty much can't count on Amazon to keep these things secret.
Yeah.
The fifth book title is The Discord of Gods.
And that's the last one in the series?
That is the last one in the series.
Wow. It's like your baby's about to graduate high school.
It is. And it's really weird how quick. I mean, when the first book was, set to come out, it seemed like it was going to be forever, because of the way publishing works before the fifth book was out. And now I'm like, well, what do you mean the fifth book's going to be out? It's already done.
Okay, so before we talk about the fifth book, let's talk of The House of Always. What's going on? When we last left our intrepid heroes, what was going on and what's happening now?
So book three was kind of like, hello, Misty. Book three was kind of, everything went wrong. There was there's stuff that was being starting to happen, had been gearing up to be happening, and in book three everything just kind of falls apart, and everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and a lot of bad things happened. So the hero of our series makes some decisions, whether those decisions are smart or are very, very not smart, kind of debatable, but certainly an extreme decision at the end of the book on how he is going to defeat the big bad. So at the beginning of book four, all of his friends and loved ones figure out what he has done and have to deal with it. There is basically, I just actually summarized this to somebody else as Senrai going, get in the gate, losers. We're all going to therapy.
Well, I was reading reviews, which I don't always do, but they were just all so good. So, and somebody said,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, somebody mentioned how you have almost a therapy session in there, and it was so great to see communication among people, among characters.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of that was a thing that I mean, I love fantasy. I've always, you don't write these kinds of books unless you love fantasy a lot. But that is one of those things you don't typically see. Is you don't typically see the hero or even just any of the major characters in a story have to deal with the consequences of what they've done on a psychological level. Usually it is, pan to whatever the symbolic happily ever after is, and then you're done. And nobody talks about post-traumatic stress, and nobody talks about, all of the crap that these people are going to be dealing with for a very, very long time. So I thought, hey, I think this is actually a good place to have them stop and say, you know what, we actually do need to deal with this before we move on. So yeah, it is a little bit of therapy and people communicating with each other, and then also people not communicating with each other, and one of those leading to the other. So
I was also in the same review. She had a lot to say, and it was all good stuff. She was so excited about the sex scene in this book.
Yeah. We finally get some sex scenes, and a couple of those are good sex scenes, and a couple of those are not good sex scenes. There's some bad sex in this book. Don't do this. Bad sex. I always told myself I would do a sex scene if I ever needed to do a sex scene. I'm not super comfortable writing sex scenes, but I figured if it ever really needed it, I was prepared to, and this was the book that needed it. So, and it turns out it actually needed it more than once. So
what was it like writing? Was it, did you call in your husband like, hey, I need to help map something out?
No. There's another writer I know named Freya Marsk, and Marsk. I'm probably butchering her last name, and she's gonna kill me. Good. But she actually has a book that's gonna be coming out pretty soon, and she's phenomenal at writing.
What's the name of the book?
A Marvelous Light.
A Marvelous Light?
Yep. From Tor.com.
Light. I'm looking it up.
And she's great. So I was texting her all the time, like, okay, so what should I do here?
Oh my gosh, I looked it up and I've got suggestions for bras. That's not it. Let me put book in the title. That's being weird. I'll put it on my website. Anyway,
okay. Hold on a second. Let me get this, because you gotta. So it's FREYA MARSKE, and A Marvelous Light.
Marvelous Light. So let's compare. Oh, that's a pretty cover. I found it. So
it's very pretty cover.
I'll put it in the comments. So let's talk about writing this one versus writing the others. And which one is your favorite story that you've put together, and that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, that's always interesting about the writing process, and you hear this a lot, but it is absolutely true that the experience that you have writing the book doesn't necessarily have a connection with the final product of the book itself.
Okay.
There's plenty of stories of writers being sick or depressed or just having all kinds of emotional issues and writing a book, and then having a book that comes together really quickly and easily, and not being able to tell the difference between these two books in terms of quality, or just seeing no correlation. And I mean, I think there's something to that. I think it can be very difficult to tell what you have
gone through behind the scenes,
right? What the experience is. The Memory of Souls was probably my favorite of the books in terms of the writing experience.
Okay.
And I really love the book. I definitely think it came out really, really well. this book, The House of Always, was, I mean, it was written during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I started it before, but a healthy chunk of it was written right smack in the middle of, you know, the worst
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was all that stress and anxiety and what's going to happen and just all the rest of it. You know, 2020, the dumpster fire that is 2020 was when a lot of this was written. And you know, so it was definitely the most sort of gut-wrenching, dig in deep, pull out, you know, bleed all over the keyboard kind of experience to write this particular book. But looking back on it, I'm like, okay, I think we're okay.
Well, I mean, what would your year have been like if you hadn't written it? If you hadn't had that to focus on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have been writing something else that I would have probably been pulling that into. I did think it was really funny that here I was in a very claustrophobic kind of experience, right? Where you weren't leaving the house and couldn't, you know, like how you would get groceries was a logistical planning landmine, you know, all of these sorts of things. And here I was writing this story about a dozen people who were trapped inside a house and can't leave. So I was like, you know, people are going to think that one of these is because of the other, and it was just serendipity that they ended up being.
Can you tell us a little about your plot in this one? Because I don't think we've talked about that yet.
Well, okay, so basically they figure out, or more to the point, so let me back up a second. So all of these books exist within the world of the books, right? They all have two main narrators who pull these stories together, and they both have their different agendas. And book 3 is pulled together by Thurvishar, you know, this one wizard, and he knows he has kind of a rival, this other wizard named Senere, who he knows will try to get a hold of this book. So he basically gives her a copy, but he gives her a copy that is redacted. Like the last chapter, the last bit where the really, really bad stuff happens, he doesn't give her, because he's hoping that if he just gives it to her, then she won't try to find out on her own, and she won't get this copy. You know, she won't find out what happened. And of course, book 4 opens up with her finding out what happened, because she immediately goes, well, it's a trick. He wouldn't have given this to me if he didn't, you know, if he wasn't hiding something. So I got to find out what he's hiding.
I got a comment from Misty here.
Oh, yeah.
In 3 weeks, I'll be graduating from grad school. The amount of books I have to read is insane. The House of Always is my top 10 book to read ASAP.
Well, congratulations, first of all. Much congratulations. That's awesome. And I know you probably will not listen to me, but the book will still be here. So, you know, do not make yourself go through unnecessary stress. So,
yeah, you guys like the book. You all need to go out and review it. Seriously.
Reviews are love.
Yes.
Pre-orders are love, but reviews are also love.
Yes,
so.
And you can. Oh, we don't have to pre-order it anymore because it came out today.
You can
Happy Book Day.
Thank you.
And we have copies in stock. Jen, do you mind stopping by? I've got 10, 15 copies of these books, and they need your John Hancock.
Yeah. I will come by and sign them. Absolutely.
So if anybody wants a signed copy, we have them in stock. I think a link here somewhere.
This girl is fully vaccinated now, so.
Me too. Congratulations.
I will head over there.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So do I have what do I have planned once I finish this?
Yeah.
The next book. It probably will not be a series, though. It will probably be a standalone. But I definitely am going to be doing more books. So I kind of have some plans for another fantasy book.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of other books that are sort of waiting in the wings for at some point. I have a couple of sci-fi books, some other stuff.
Now, when you're done with book 5, are you going to jump straight into something new, or are you going to take a break first?
Oh no, I'm going to jump straight into something.
Straight in. I don't know. That sounds kind of exciting. Are you kind of excited about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's always great because the cool thing about being able to start, and this is going to be like a completely new project. It's not actually going. My break is that it's not going to be set in Omfer. It's not going to be set in the same world. So that's my break. Is you get to do new world building. You don't have to.
And you're so good at that.
I love it.
Yeah.
A lot.
You can tell when you read your books. You can tell that you love it.
I geek out over that. So this is my treat. Is I get to do do new world building. I am who I am, so don't be terribly surprised if there are dragons in it too, because
that's cool.
I'm me. But
where are you in writing book 5?
I am in revisions.
Wow.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys? It exists. That's pretty darn cool.
Yep, it exists. It hasn't quite gotten to my editor yet, but soon. Soon.
That still counts. It exists.
Yeah.
So is the hardest work over, or when you put it all on page, or do you think it's harder, the editing?
So they say, but this is still true. Like in my experience anyway, this is true, which is that every time I've written a book, I've had to learn how to write a book. Mm-hmm. They don't end up being the same way twice. Every book has its own challenges. Mm-hmm. And this was really very much one where I had to write the book to figure out how to write the book.
Yeah.
So now that I've written the book, I need to go back and change some things.
The last time I talked to you, you were actually, I think you just finished writing book 4.
Yeah, I think so.
Like just then. And then, and so you had to think back, okay, what happened in book 3? Because book 4 is so fresh.
Right. Yeah. So I just finished book 5. So it is weird to like have just finished a thing and then be like, okay, so let's not talk about that thing. Let's talk about the thing that happened the book before then. And of course I know how it all resolves. But,
I hope so. So this time next year, we'll be doing something for book 5, but you're really going to be thinking about that new novel with the new world building.
Yeah.
Any hints for book 5?
I mean, everything's going to so there's a metaphor in book 1 about this giant black wave coming crashing down, and book 5 is where it does that. So obviously the wave is a metaphor for something else, but that something else is definitely going to happen. So
very cool. Hey, anybody listening who wants to ask a question, please do. I love questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
The series doesn't have a Shakespearean ending, does it? You mean like everybody dies?
I was actually wondering that, but I didn't think it. I didn't want to ask it.
I keep having to reassure people that in fact it will have a happy ending. It will have a happy ending.
I don't know. Your books feel kind of like it's going to end poorly for everyone. It's just so I'll be excited about a happy ending.
I actually was talking to somebody else, and he was like, he kept trying to push me to name the book The End of It All, and I'm like, the end of everything. I'm like, but no, that's not true. That's not going to happen.
End of the world as we know it.
Right. It's like no, I'm not doing that. I can't promise everyone will live, because
Where's the fun in that?
Where's the fun in that?
Where's the fun in that?
But
very true.
Okay, so tell me what you mean by Shakespearean. Shakespearean tragedies don't. Okay, the main characters. When I say happy ending, I mean a happy ending for the main characters. Okay.
Okay, so not happy ending for the bad guys.
Yeah. I think the bad guys are going to get what is coming to them.
Their comeuppance.
And then people have come back to be like, but who's the bad guy really? I'm like, no, let's not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Zaltaroth is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Relosvar is a bad guy. These are bad guys. The fact that Relosvar is really, really good at making you question whether or not he's a bad guy does not change.
How do you come up with character names?
Well, so I'm terrible, and this isn't going to seem lazy, but trust me, this is lazy.
Okay.
I'm really super lazy. So I will create a language. This is the part that doesn't seem lazy. I will create a language.
I think we talked about this before.
And then I will use the language to name people. And it will typically be something that means like a literal thing. You know, I think in in book 4, I'm going to spoiler a little bit of a thing that I think it's book 4. It might have been book 3. I think it's book 4. They find out that Zaltaroth literally translates as Queen of Demons. And that's the kind of thing I do. Like typically it means something very, very cut and dry.
But how do you come up with like the actual like name, not the meaning? Like where Zaltaroth, where'd that come from?
That came from, I created a language and I went, okay, Queen of Demons, what does that mean?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's.
Yeah.
I can live with that. Happy endings are overrated. As a gamer, bittersweet endings work for me. And then at Jenn Lyons, not helping.
Well, but so like Kieran literally means black sword.
Okay.
Super complicated name.
So when you come out with like, you're going to do like a special edition after book 5, like with extras, including this language, like a dictionary.
There are like 6 of them.
Right.
There's a bunch.
There's 6 languages?
Yeah. There's like 6 languages. That's not.
Oh my gosh.
And it's almost entirely like, because I'm not actually, people will be like, oh, so you're really, really into languages. I'm like, I'm really not. I'm really not is the thing. I know that sounds.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, if I don't do it this way, if I don't create a language and then extrapolate off of the language, then everything ends up sounding like it belongs in the south of France. Because I'm a white girl, and that's how that ends up working. Or that it's straight out of Tolkien or something.
The only thing I ask from fantasy authors is that everybody's name starts with a different letter.
Yeah, I failed at that. Yeah. I totally failed at that.
You kind of,
that's for 2 reasons. One is that it's a large cast.
Yes, it is.
There's only so many letters in the alphabet.
There's 24.
there's only so many letters in the alphabet, and I have way more characters than that. So there were going to be doubles. That was never going to be any other possibility. But then the other thing was, I made the brilliant decision, right, when I was doing the world building, and my editor didn't catch it until it was too late. Boy, she was upset with me. The problem was that their family name, so the Vane, their family name is the first syllable in their name. So Wraith is going to be the child of someone whose first whose name starts with Tur,
Yeah.
who's going to be the child of someone whose first name starts with Tur. And since they're immortal, all of these characters may actually be around.
Yeah.
So this, created some interesting scenes where everybody had names that started with the same first three letters.
I remember that actually.
Yeah. It was really, really difficult for, I would not do it again. I would not do it again. Absolutely would not do it again, because I like the whole reason that Tarendel it continues to be Doc through all of book 3 was because it was too confusing if I had him called Tarendel. So congratulations, you continue to be
Everybody gets nicknames.
Gonna keep calling you Doc.
Let's see here. I'm an aspiring author, and your series has motivated me in so many different ways, not just to continue writing, but also to improve as a storyteller. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alejandro.
Yeah,
I appreciate
that's
that.
Nice.
I will give. You did not ask for this advice, but I will give you the advice I give. To everybody else.
Let's do advice.
Which is just keep at it. Keep writing. Keep doing it, and when you get, assuming you don't already, when you get that first book done, don't stop, because that's the thing I see a lot of new authors doing, where they think, okay, I've written a book, I will now try to go sell that book, and I will stop doing anything else while I go sell that book. And the odds are really good you're not going to sell that book, which I know is heartbreaking to hear, but you're much better off. Go ahead, try to sell the book, but keep writing. Keep writing while you're doing it.
I keep seeing this quote from Bradbury. I don't know if it's actually Bradbury, but Facebook says it is, where write a story a week, because there's no way you'll have 52 bad stories.
There's an expression in the musical world called earning your chops. And you see stuff going around in the writing community too, or just there was I don't know, some period of time back, somebody that used to comment that you had to get 1 million words under your belt before you would probably start to be any good. I don't think that's true. And by that, I mean, I don't think there's some magical number that you have to reach. There are going to be people who are good right off the bat, and we can all hate them. And there are going to be people who will just need to keep working and working and working at it. It's not, but I do think the idea that that you get better at this the more you do it is true. So yeah. And by the time this series is done, it will be well over 1 million words. So the next books I do should be great.
Are they going to be nice and fat too, or are you going to stick to that nice?
I don't know.
Chunky?
I think they might be. That it always trips people up when I tell them that the other books I've written are not. The other books I've written are between 100 and 125,000 words. And people always get very like, what? Like, these books needed to be big.
There's a lot of story. Yeah,
there was a lot of story there. They couldn't be anything else but big. Other stories won't necessarily be true of. So, I might try something smaller. Because that does have the one advantage, a more traditional sized book is that you can get them done quicker.
Yeah, I like a good novella, I'll be honest. But then again, I also like a nice fat book that I can just dig into.
I think we need to be able to have both.
I agree.
And I might really take it upon myself to figure out that whole short story thing.
Oh,
because I'm terrible at short stories, but that's a practice thing. I need to just sit down and work at it more.
How did you manage to build your world? And they say Tolkien and Martin nailed world building.
Well, I mean, it kind of evolved. The truth of the matter is that this world has been in various stages of evolution and, you know, being constructed at this point for well over 25 years, maybe a little more than that.
I think you told me once this is it's D&D is what got you started in it, right?
Yeah. No, it was absolutely D&D. You know, this world started out as a D&D world first.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we LARPed in it for a little while, and you know, I mean, it's definitely been a lot of stuff. So, but that said, there was a point where I sat down to like really write the books, and at that point, I kind of redid a lot of the world building, just because the stuff that had previously been there didn't have a lot of intention behind it. It was just the stuff that you kind of throw into a D&D world when you're not really thinking about it. And that tends to be slanted in a very particular kind of way, because most D&D stuff is slanted in a very particular kind of way. And so I was like, you know, I think I would like to actually sit down and say, okay, no, really, what would I like this world to be like? You know, and so at that point, I changed quite a few things. You know,
I've said this before. I think you'd be an amazing DM. I think it would be a great adventure.
I am a fantastic DM for a particular kind of player. and if you are not one of those kinds of players, I am not a fantastic.
Not so much.
Because I honestly, this is true of my husband as well. We both are really into consequences. And are perfectly willing to let players bury themselves. You know, so and just in general tend to lean a little bit more towards role playing and political intrigue than you know, just dungeon crawls. That's not what everybody wants, which is valid, totally valid.
Speaking of your husband.
Yeah, be okay with capture encounters. You
know, I was thinking it'd be really cool. I know you probably won't like this idea. If for a fundraiser for your fans, if you did like a one shot, and you had like a group of fans that like raise some money for a charity of your choice, and then you spend like a couple hours just working through a quick campaign. I'll just throw that out there.
I'm open to it.
Yeah,
I'm totally open to it.
That'd be cool.
It could be fun. But you know, certainly, yeah, I do love me the D&D. So, or just tabletop in general, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, it used to be, you know, I mean, I'm still a huge Champions girl, and that's not even, that's superheroes. That's not even.
We play a lot of Lord of the Rings Risk.
Lord of the Rings Risk.
That's a big family favorite for us. Yeah.
I can imagine.
I pronounce all the names wrong, so the you know, you have to work through the board, and it's all the cities and places in Lord of the Rings, and I always say them all wrong, and so they come out, you know, like man's hairy ass, men's hairy. Do you know? Or hard H, and then it's like real hard. Oh, I can't even do it. I'm totally ruining this. I'll share. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, no. What's Australia? I want to know. I want to know who Russia is.
Well, I don't think I can. I can try sharing a screen. Let me try find a picture of it, or I'll just send it to you guys later. It's a friend of ours board, and we get together, and it takes seriously like an hour just to set it up. And let me just go through some little pictures.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's a lot of fun. There's evil, 2 evils, and 2 goods. I always play evil because you should. And where is it? And let's see, my friend Stacy, she's always good, and my husband goes back and forth between good and evil. Trying to find
somebody on Twitter asked if I would ever write my equivalent of the Silmarillion, and I was like, I'm not against that idea.
Okay, so let me see if I can share this. I got a lot of tabs open. Don't mock me. So
I would have no right to mock you. You should see mine.
Application window. Okay, maybe that didn't work. Let me try this different. Where is it? There it is. I'm sure this is really entertaining for all you. Oh, and I just closed it. Okay, never mind. I will send it to you so you can see it.
Yes.
And if anybody's interested, you can Google it. So, and it's a fun game, and it takes hours. So.
Well, it's Risk, first of all.
It is. It's Risk. Yeah.
So I mean, so back on the world building thing.
Yeah.
I have become a big fan of the idea when it comes to world building. Whatever it is that you're world building, whatever it is you're doing, to do it purposefully, to do it with intention. And I say that because one of the things that I see, not people necessarily getting wrong, because right or wrong is kind of there's preferences.
Yeah,
it's subjective. But I think that the way to make a lot of fantasy, a lot of science fiction stronger is to sit down and really take a look at the things that we assume. Because we assume a lot. We assume a lot has to be a specific way. We assume, I mean, count the number of times where we assume that the firstborn son is going to inherit the crown. Look at the number of times we assume, we used to use a sentence, the knight rides towards the castle. And there's so much assumption packed into how people will typically interpret that sentence, that is very, it shows the society, it shows the culture that we live in. It shows people's individual backgrounds. The assumptions you bring to something will typically reflect your culture. But from a world building perspective, it's good to ask yourself, does it actually have to be that way? Do you want it that way? And if the answer is yes, cool, go for it. But, maybe don't have it be there just as the default that you didn't put any thought into.
I figured it out. I was totally paying attention, I swear, but here, I don't know if you can see that.
Yep, I can see that.
There you go.
That's hilarious.
My face is behind your cover. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, fight assumptions. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had somebody write to me a couple of weeks ago, and she had a question about something, but she said, I think she had only read the 4th book and she hadn't read any of the previous ones. And she made a comment about Relisvar being white. And I was like, but he's not. Pretty much nobody except for one character in the story is white. Because why would that be the default?
Yeah.
But it was a really good example of exactly that thing. She just assumed, because fantasy, right? So of course,
and you picture yourself in the character. Yeah.
And I was like, no. Senray's white. That's it. Everybody else, even if like in the case of the Yorins, they're white, but they're like unnatural white. They're literally white, or literally pale blue or
Mhm.
literally lavender, or
Mhm.
so not quite what we talk about when we talk about that.
So I think we're to the point where you get to play bookseller for a few minutes, and we get to find out all the goodies that you've been reading and you want to recommend.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's a couple. This continues to be like 2021 has been better. 2020 was terrible in terms of me actually reading, which, was an awful thing. But let's see. So first of all, if you guys haven't checked it out, there's a bunch of stuff that came out today, besides mine. Shauna McGuire has a book out today.
Yes.
Sarah Pinsker has a book out today. P. Jelly Clark has a book out today. I'm going to get his name wrong, and I apologize, but Sui, it's called Son of the Storm, and it's Sui Davis Okunbawa. Probably did not pronounce that correct. I apologize. But it's great. I read that. I loved that book.
We have we have that in stock too.
Yeah, I recommend that one. Yeah, absolutely. So he does some really, really interesting things, not just with world building, but with gender, honestly, that you don't typically see in a lot of fantasy novels. And by that, I don't necessarily mean that he does anything, that he switches up the genders. It's just that he, lets women have a full range of types. And some of the women are great, and some of the women are the vilest things you've ever seen. And it's reasonably rare that you kind of let that full range happen. So I really appreciated that. I'm doing a thing with him, like, really soon. Yeah. We're gonna sit down and we're gonna chat. And I'm gonna ask him a bunch of stuff. But
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And then Marina Lostetter, which I think I actually have. Yep. Marina Lostetter just came out with The Helm of Midnight. And I love this book. I love this book to bits. It's fantastic. It's basically this sort of what it got kind of described as what was it? I think it's on the back here, although it's a pretty good one. It's like Hannibal meets fantasy, right? So you've got this this police officer, effectively, who is trying to track down this artifact that is infused with the spirit of a serial killer, this mastermind serial killer, and it's been stolen and it is loose out in the streets, and she's trying to track it down. Beautiful. It's great.
What was it? What was the title of that one again?
The Helm of Midnight.
The Helm of Midnight. I know I missed that first part.
Yep. And then there's a book that's coming out in the fall that I was actually just talking to the author last night. And that is Rika Aoki's Light from Uncommon Stars. Let's hope I'm getting that name right too. Okay. I think I am.
I'm putting links to these books in the comments if anybody's interested.
So Light from Uncommon Stars is it's, I don't want to say it's sci-fi, because it does not let you pinhole it that way. I've been describing it as Faust meets Galaxy Quest.
Ooh.
So you have this woman who is this grand maestro, this this famed teacher of the violin. All of her students become, extraordinary and go on to have brilliant, amazing careers. And what nobody realizes is that she is getting these students to sell their souls to the devil. She is contractually obligated to have 7 souls delivered to Satan, and she is on the 7th soul that she needs, and she comes across this trans girl who is completely gifted and amazing, and it is what happens between these two. But then it's also, there are aliens involved. So there's also this other aspect of it, and it is this what spoke to me about it is that the author, she does such an amazing job of capturing the yearning, the desire that artists have to reach God with their work, to achieve greatness with their work. There is that temptation, there is that desire. Like, who wouldn't really go out to the crossroads at midnight to meet with the man in black if they knew that they could come out of it being brilliant, being absolutely brilliant, and they knew that they would get that? I think a lot of people would take that deal, and she really does a fantastic job of capturing that, of explaining what would make somebody sell their soul to the devil.
You always pick out great books when I ask you to do this.
I meet people who've written some really, really, really good stuff. So
very cool. All right, guys, it's about that time. In the comments below, you'll find a link to buy all of Jenn's books, at least all books in this series. So, and she's local to our store, so we can get them. Oh, look at the lighting. I'm a little tense right now. We can. It's okay. We can get them all autographed for you. And thank you for doing this.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, we got it. Misty. Misty, you're my favorite person watching this.
Well, I mean, I was having Robert Johnson flashbacks when I was reading this, because he's the guy who very famously sold his soul to the man in black at the crossroads, and knew that they were going to come for him. They're just. I have to say, I'm going to spoiler this. Devil Came Down to Georgia was not referenced once.
I love that song. I love that song before I moved to Georgia. There we go.
I think it's a thing. I think it's a thing. You get the mythology that happens to it.
The crossroads. It was even like in Supernatural. You had to bury something, the TV show, bury something at the crossroads.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's It is definitely part of. It is part of culture. That's definitely part of mythology. All right.
Well, okay. So we have Jenn's books in stock. You can buy on our website, or you can give us a call. Jen said she'd stop in and sign a couple copies, or all the copies of House of Always.
All the copies.
Please, yes. All the copies. Thank you again for doing this. Hopefully next time we do something like this, it'll be in the store, and
that would be good.
Be for book 5, but maybe we can still do it online, because I know you have like fans all over the country.
That would be nice.
All over the world too.
That would be nice.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks, Jenn. Bye. Have a good night.
Bye.